Welcome, everyone, to Healthcare Leadership Live. I'm your host, Mike Lyons. I'm an HR services provider focused on healthcare, and I'm thrilled that you're joining us here today. Whether you're tuning in live or listening to the podcast, you're in the right place if you're a leader in a small or growing healthcare business who's hungry for actionable tips to propel your growth. Today's guest today is Pam DeLaO. And she is an expert when it comes to looking at your business and finding ways to help you save you money. And who wouldn't want to do that right now in the economy that we're looking at here? So, Pam, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. As always, the show is sponsored by Seasoned Advice HR Services, where I focus on helping small and medium-sized healthcare businesses retain employees better and get better results through people. So with that, again, welcome, Pam. Why don't you just tell us about yourself and what do you do and why do you do this stuff?
Sure. I spent many years, we won't go into numbers. I was in IT on the channel side. So I was worked with partners in the reseller space. And after years of watching companies and, sometimes buy solutions that were not the right fit, I saw what was missing. And that was somebody in their corner that genuinely cared about the success of the business as a whole and not just getting that sale. Right. And so, I decided I wanted to be that person and not sell anything. Not that I was always selling, but you're usually in an environment, right? When a company is researching something, a solution, you're trying to sell you the solution, right? So that's my goal, is just to be a trusted ally to my client, right? And be the person they call when they need advice, or they have initiatives they want to talk with somebody about, or they have a challenge. They're struggling. That's the biggest one that people call me for. But I'm going to be a person they call, right? And that could be from anything encompassing in technology. We can get into that more because technology is such a broad space. But having that, I think that third party person to be a sounding board and to be kind of an extension of your team can make a huge difference, because it's very overwhelming. Most people are focused on the day-to-day, making sure the business runs right, and don't have a lot of time to do the research and then even know if that's the right thing that they need, or, there's just so many different ways it could go. So, that's why I do what I do. And I think it makes a big difference when you can kind of have that person that you trust to talk to, that can just be an extra set of ears and go help kind of take some things off your plate.
Yeah, I know for me, when I was in-house doing human resources, we would have to acquire software, or we would have vendors come pitching us things. And, those costs are significant, right? HR softwares, or if you're an IT leader, softwares that IT leaders support. And for me, I hate negotiating and I hate all that stuff. So, selfishly, do you handle all the negotiating and stuff when you're looking at solutions and things, or is that?
So I don't personally get involved in the negotiating, but I sit on my client side of the table, which helps, right? Because then I'm that middle person. So if my client doesn't want to do the negotiating, I can be that middle person. And I have done that, right? Where I'm going back and forth and I'm like, that price was too high. They don't want to, we need to do something. And so that's a good point. I don't even like negotiating when it's something I'm buying. So, but I don't mind being that middle person. And so that's definitely something I can help with.
Well, I mean, it would be so valuable, would have been so valuable to have someone just in your pocket, right? Who can say exactly what you said, like, there's definitely wiggle room here. And, with a lot of vendors, there's probably a lot of wiggle room a lot of times. Yeah. Is that the case?
Yeah. And if there's not, I think it's something, you don't even know if they're being honest with you. Or do you have wiggle room? Do you not have wiggle room? Not that I'm saying anybody's dishonest, but, and sometimes there's questions to ask. And I'll know the questions to ask that might, I'll think outside the box a little bit more for my client. And maybe there's a different way we can get a discounted price. And it's not just this one thing. It's not always black and white. And so I can kind of think outside the box for the client and try to get to a lower price in a different way sometimes.
Yeah, I was in-house at a time when the economy was really struggling. And I had a provider or a software solution approach me with something that I was really interested in. And I asked for a better price, and they were very eager to be price competitive because the market was low. And I just bring that
Mhm.
up because right now, a lot of vendors may be dealing with that same thing. I mean, do you feel like, is that your sense in the market that like hardware, software solutions, and folks that people are buying from, that they're maybe more willing to offer better prices right now?
Yeah, I'm definitely seeing that. And like you said, because it is the market, and there's different ways to go about it sometimes. Like a big thing that, how technology's evolved over the years is there's a lot, almost every software solution now has a subscription option.
Mm.
So think of us as consumers. We all have Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, everything's a monthly subscription. That's what most business technologies have gone to. So there are different ways sometimes if you really need something for the business. Well, let's look at all options. Maybe it's not just an upfront cost, or it's a monthly fee, but maybe it's a longer contract will get you a lower price, or whatever that may be as an example. But yeah, there's definitely more price conversations happening now with the economy the way it is.
Sure. So yeah, maybe let's get into specifics here. Like if I'm a business owner out there listening to this, and actually before I say anything more, if y'all have a question here for Pam or a comment, this is a great opportunity because we're live streaming this, and any comments you post or questions, we'll see those and we can directly address those right here live. So take advantage of Pam's knowledge and experience. But um, going back to the question, what are some examples of things where there's usually like fruitful opportunities to look at cost savings where you work with clients?
Um, there's a few different ways. Some ways are AI, and I know people probably going to hear AI multiple times throughout this call, but and people don't know what to do with AI, right? Businesses are like, either they have an AI strategy, they don't know where to start, or they don't know where to start with AI in general. They don't have a strategy yet. But AI is not something tangible, and that's why it's hard to wrap their head around it. But there are solutions that, AI solutions out there that can help reduce costs. And that looks different, right? It can increase revenue. It could be engaging with your customer better to increase the revenue. It can improve your operational efficiency. That can help reduce costs, and that looks different for every business. And it's so customizable. So that's why it's just important to really understand a business's what are their goals, what are their challenges, and then we kind of go down that road. Cloud is another one I see. When cloud first became a thing, everybody jumped into the cloud, right? But most people, most businesses are overpaying for cloud at this point. That's another way. Telecom and internet, which people don't associate with technology. I always laugh. I think I've talked to you about this, Mike. Like I hesitate to say technology advisor because people hear technology and they just shut down because they think IT. But telecom and internet fit into that bucket. And there's ways around telecom internet. Some, it could be if you have multiple locations, it could be reducing costs there and kind of consolidating your bills or vendors. There's also old telephone lines. A lot of healthcare companies have old telephone lines out there. Those are deregulated by the government now, and so the prices are skyrocketing there. So that's another way. Cybersecurity, that's not always reducing costs, but sometimes it is, and that can be when it comes with a managed service provider. A lot of smaller healthcare companies, if they don't have in-house IT people, or they do, but they outsource to a managed service provider, sometimes either switching the managed service provider or going to an MSP can reduce costs.
Mm. Okay, sure. Um, I've definitely seen a cost variation in MSP providers,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Not that you want to skimp on that, but you want to be smart.
yeah. You want to, and some, I talk to a lot of businesses that are not happy with their MSP, or they've had them for a long time, and it's almost like a little too comfortable in the relationship where they don't feel like they're getting the level of support they want,
Mm.
or they're worried about cybersecurity and they're not feeling protected as they thought they should have been. So yeah, definitely always want to explore that. And if you've had an MSP for a few years, you really should look into it. And again, that's where, a solutions provider like myself can help, because even myself, I don't like researching any insurance or anything that I have to go do research on and call multiple companies. That's a lot of time and it's overwhelming, right? Because there's so many options out there. And so when you work with a third party that can go do that research for you and understand your business specifically, understand your challenges. Are you trying to grow? Are you trying to reduce costs? What are your biggest pain points? What does your IT team look like? Do you have an IT team? There's so many questions, but that's how we can really find the right MSP for you.
You mentioned the word growth, and growth is, it's a time of change.
Mm-hmm.
And I would guess that that's a great time to re-examine all of your, all of the things you're talking about, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There's so many different things to look at when there's, especially talking M&A, mergers and acquisitions. If you're acquiring companies, you do not know what's in that whole organization you just acquired, right? So you want to make sure immediately that you're looking at everything, because you want to reduce the cost, because you're almost immediately overpaying when you acquire. You have duplicate of everything, and that's a big one too for companies. Is they call it technical debt, right? Where they've been buying software applications through the years, and they have too much, and they can get rid of some of it, or there's something they already have can probably do some of the things that the other ones are that they're paying for, and so there's a lot of option usually there to kind of consolidate that.
Nice. I'm wondering if there's an example of a client that you've worked with that might be a typical kind of a success story that you could point to that would kind of help illustrate what all this might look like.
Yeah, there's one that I have a client that everything was manual, right? And you're talking, and not for them necessarily, but we see this a lot where they have Excel spreadsheets, right? So everything's a manual report, or, a lot of time is being spent on reaching out to IT for this, or it's not a central platform where you can see everything. It's very segmented, right? HR has theirs, uh, accounting has theirs, sales has theirs, operations has it. And so we just took a look at everything across the board, including their telecom, and we're implementing an AI solution that's going to reduce missed calls that they're getting, because everything is so manual. People are calling after hours, nobody's there to answer. They're on the phones, they're missing the calls, or whatever it may be. And so we're implementing an AI solution right now that's going to drastically reduce missed calls, and automate functions across the organization from every department. And it's pretty powerful. And so and reduce cost at the end of the day. So
Wow.
that's a great one.
Better customer response, lower cost, everyone's
Yep.
got better peace of mind. I mean, it's a kumbaya moment, I think.
Yeah. And I think really also for the executive team, it has measurable results. You can actually see that ROI and see the true business outcome. And that's something it's hard sometimes when somebody wants to invest in a solution and it's like, well, what's the ROI? You can't always be measured, but there's a lot of solutions now, especially with AI involved, that you can measure it, especially when you're trying to reduce cost as well. Even if it doesn't involve AI, but usually it seems like most things do now.
Yeah. Well, another trend that I have seen directly in one organization I was with, but also with folks that I've been talking to lately is offshoring. And so working with people in the Philippines or India. And so I feel like that is on the rise also. I don't know, in talking with clients and in the circles that you swim in, is that a solution that you think is becoming more common? Do you think there's pitfalls with pursuing the offshoring, strategy? Because I know a guy who's offshoring like CPA work offshore, and I'm sure there are people offshoring HR and stuff like that.
Yeah. That's again, you're going to get sick of hearing me say it, but that's where AI can help that, right? Because AI can do the work of multiple humans. Mm-hmm. And it's not necessarily to let go of your current workforce, but it just makes it more efficient, costs less. So I haven't encountered that specifically, but some of the MSPs, as far as the, if you want IT support, with IT support, they will say, we have domestic support. So there's some clients that'll say, we don't want offshore. We want it to be US based. So that's something we can look for. But from where I sit, I think AI is going to replace that, the offshoring, and
Yeah, it
it
almost
makes it
seems.
much more efficient, much more
Yeah, it
efficient.
seems like just as that was getting really popular, it seems as though the AI solution is really going to make that obsolete, right?
Right. Because AI has evolved even drastically in the last few years, right? It's not, we're not talking ChatGPT. We're talking above that, agentic AI, where it has reasoning and it can take all those calls. It can have conversations. It doesn't need to be trained. It's just something that's implemented and pulled from their data. And so it's pretty incredible when I put on some of these calls where it's an AI agent, but it doesn't have, even if it's not voice AI, almost anything can be solved with an AI solution now. And it's just, it's measurable. You don't have to have employees. You don't have to pay employees. You have to pay the payroll taxes that go with that. You don't have to worry about them leaving or quit. There's just so much less risk, and it's all automated.
Mm-hmm. It's certainly fascinating. It's
Yeah.
fascinating to think about. When we look at all these softwares, they can be super expensive, right? Or even hardware. Do you work in the hardware acquisition side as well, or not so
I
much?
can help with that. I haven't done much with that, to be honest, but I can help with that.
Yeah. So I mean, irrespective of that, there can be some large expenses here.
Mm-hmm.
Even in what I would call a small company of 100 or 200
Oh
employees,
yeah.
the software fees can easily be in the tens of thousands or the hundreds of thousands.
Mm-hmm.
And so what types of savings, could be potentially gleaned here by working with someone like you?
And that's going to depend, right? I hate to say that, but it does. It depends on the size of the company. It depends on what they have, what they're trying to do. We work with, I guess, technology expense management solution providers that can do an assessment, that can look and say, they can just look at software, or they can look at telecom, or they can just look at one piece or all of it. But we've seen savings of 20 to 40% sometimes with software.
Wow. Yeah. So that's a huge,
Yeah.
that's a huge amount. And, for that service, I mean, what can people expect to pay to get those kind of results?
And that's going to depend too, because I would never want to say a number on it, but you want to factor that into the ROI, right? Because I agree. We don't want to say, well, what's it going to cost? Is it going to even offset the savings? And it definitely does.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it'd be kind of pointless to do it, right? But so there's some companies that offer free assessments that'll just say, here's a glimpse into what we can do.
Yeah.
But it's even the savings is going to definitely offset what it would cost to invest in something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
Or it wouldn't make sense, right? And that's what I'll do, right? I always understand when we have so many different suppliers that we can work with. That's why it's helpful to understand your business, because how many employees do you have? What is the revenue? What are you trying to do specifically? Because that's going to determine which provider to bring in. Because some providers will say, well, it's a minimum of 100 devices or whatever the minimum or maximum is. So you want to find the right solution to fit that business and what outcome they're trying to achieve. So that's part of it, is matching the right solutions with the clients.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there a type of a business that tends to get the most out of working with someone like you?
No, I mean, I could say some, but it's every business really that should be working with somebody. A lot of people haven't really heard. It's not something that's been a common thing, in the last 20 years, I guess you can say, right? A lot of people have resellers they work with, or they do have people that they source their IT products from. But to work with a technology business advisor like ourselves, it can be in multiple different areas.
Mm. Everyone uses technology.
Everyone does. We see that if I had to pick some, it'd be probably that we see the most success with manufacturing, healthcare. There was another one I was just thinking of that I just totally forgot. Service companies is a big one. Service companies who are engaging with their customers on a daily basis. That's another one, because if you're not utilizing AI to engage your customers, you're going to get left behind, because everybody's getting text messages, emails. Like, you want to make sure you're staying top of mind with your customers. So consumer service is another one we're seeing an increase with.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Well, I know the work that you do, and I know that you're passionate about it, and I don't see any downside to anyone wanting to reach out and chat with you to find out how you can help. So how can people get in touch with you if they're curious about how you can help, save them on their funds?
Ideally, I like to do a first, whatever you want to call it, a strategy session, just to get to know you, because I want to understand your business, but there's no cost to it. And, I'll ask a lot of questions about your business just so I can understand, because that makes a big difference. And once I ask the right questions and understand how your business is set up, what your long-term goals are, what you're struggling with now, then we can talk about different areas that might make sense to explore, whatever the business outcome is they're trying to achieve. And then we go from there. But I really highly advise businesses to find somebody they can work with, because it's an ongoing relationship, right? It's like a financial advisor. You reach out to them when you want advice on an investment or any kind of financial move. You reach out. It's an ongoing relationship. And that's what I think is important to have in this space as well. And there's nothing to lose, like you said, right? For a business just to have somebody to reach out to and say, we need help, we have a question or something. It should be an ongoing, trusted relationship.
Yeah, sounds great. Well, what's the best way for people to get in touch with you?
They can email me or call me, whatever it is. I can put my information in the chat, or they can get in touch with me through you, or whatever.
Yeah. We'll drop. So why don't you just share your email here on the show? We'll drop it in the chat also.
Sure. So it's Pamela DeLaO, PAMELA .DeLaO, DELAO @tenrex.com, and that's TENRECX.com.
Okay, awesome. Well, Pam, I think what you do is super valuable. Obviously, we're on a cusp here of major technological change. And obviously there's technology that probably will never change, that there are significant costs tied to, but there's opportunity to optimize systems, and it sounds like you can really help with that. Shoot, I'd love to have you optimize my systems.
Let me know.
my AI workflow here. But thank you for being on the show here. I hope that the listeners here got value out of it. I know I did, and I truly enjoy connecting with you. This brings a close to this episode of Healthcare Leadership Live. I hope you got some actionable tips out of it that you can implement in your business to foster efficiency. The journey of business in leadership in healthcare is a continuous one. So keep an eye out for future episodes of Healthcare Leadership Live, where I'm going to continue to bring you conversations and guests with folks that can share actionable tactics to help you achieve your full potential. Thanks for tuning in. Now go out there and lead with confidence.